Hey everybody, thanks for joining me on The Pulse. Have a little bit of a different format today. I have been on vacation, was at a Star Trek convention, the big one in Vegas, and that'll tie a little bit into what we're going to be talking about in a moment. Apologize for any changes in format and in sound. We'll be back normal next week. So let's kind of get to the news. You know, every week it's like Trump Watch 1000, day 1 million of the Trump administration, right? Right now we've got a guy who's literally melting down this nonsense about going after LeBron James. After LeBron James is actually doing something really good, putting his money where his mouth is and trying to help kids, and Trump has to go out there and mock him. And, funny thing was he went out and said, that he liked Michael Jordan better, and Michael Jordan stood up for LeBron. And then this whole nonsense with Kanye, I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel asked him, you thought George Bush was a racist. How come you don't think Trump is? And his face froze, and they went to commercial. Yeah, that's exactly the truth. The guy doesn't think. So that'll be the only time you'll ever hear me talk about Kanye ever again, Mr. Irrelevant. Next thing I want to talk about is Omarosa. Wow. Okay, she... I'm certainly no fan of Omarosa, but I cannot help but love watching. It's like her and Trump, it's like putting two cats in a bag and watching them fight it out, You don't really get to see all of it, but it's nasty and it's getting bad. She's got all the dirt on Trump, and, who didn't think that she didn't have all these tapes? And she's probably not the only one. There's probably others. But she's releasing them left and right. This ought to be fun, He's a bad man, shouldn't be president. He is incapable of being president. And I'm fine if it's her that brings him down. Next thing I just want to mention, congratulate Puerto Rico. They have power today. Yes, it took how many months for the guy with all the best people to get electricity finally in Puerto Rico? Good job. Just a reminder, Mr. President, Puerto Rico is part of the United States. Next thing I want to mention, Flint is still without clean water. I want to do a full talk about this at another time, but that is one of the things that has outraged me even when Obama was president. And many of you may think I am just a Democrat who just always backs Democrats. I back right and wrong. It just happens many times Democrats are right. In this case, President Obama was wrong. He should have declared an emergency, a national emergency in Flint, Michigan, and taken over the water system and gotten it fixed. He didn't. We have a president now who most people think is a racist anyway. He knows it's mostly black folks living there in Flint, so he's not going to do anything there. It's a national disgrace. And honestly, I hope that our next president or someone can find it within them to make a change there. But we'll get on that on a later date. The little takeoff on the Star Trek convention is, Trump formally announced the Space Force. A lot of people make fun of it. I certainly understand why. We have plenty of national problems. We don't need to spend a lot of money on a Space Force. Now, personally, I would just take the money out of the military budget that's already so bloated. They could probably create a brand new Space Force with 13 USS Enterprise from Star Trek at this point, with how much money we spend already on the military. The thing I like about a Space Force is we really should be focusing on space as a country. That is the final frontier. That is the future. The problem is I don't trust Trump to do it. And that's where my fear is. But I like the idea, and I hope the next president actually takes that idea a little bit more serious and starts moving that direction. I know I'm probably pissing off every other Democrat out there. I am not supporting Trump on this because I think he's a nut, but I would like to see a Space Force. Okay, so what are we talking about today? I hear a lot of talk about abortion, and I want to just get it out there exactly what I think about abortion. Abortion is an unfortunate necessity. In a civilized society, do we want everyone that gets pregnant to have a child? I really don't think so. We right now have almost 7 million abortions in the United States each year. Yes, that is carnage, right? But at the same time, how many times do you on a daily basis when you're driving, when you're at the grocery store, think that so-and-so shouldn't have had a child? Huh. Multiply that times 7 million a year. And then add, now over a decade, that would be 70 million children that would be born if we ban abortion. Who's taking these kids? Who's going to take them? We can't even get kids adopted now. There are plenty of kids out there looking to be adopted in foster homes right now, and conservatives are not adopting them. They are not doing their part if they want to get rid of abortion. So that's kind of where my argument comes in. If you really think abortion is so bad, why are you not adopting kids? And are you prepared as Christians to adopt every child? Because really, people say, well, life is precious. Well, first thing I'll also say is most people who call themselves pro-life are also pro-death penalty. Now, there's a few exceptions, but so you're fine with the life in the beginning, but not so great on the end. And in fact, I'll point out further hypocrisy. Most people who are pro-life are also Republicans who cut the budgets and cut benefits for kids so that they don't want people who are freeloaders to get money from the government. Well, these freeloaders would have children, so you're not really for these kids. There are so many reasons why abortion becomes then an unfortunate necessity, and that's one of them. And I did a little figuring. I looked up some things. It takes about $14,000 a year to take care of a child in the average family. Multiply that times 7 million, and we're literally looking at almost $9 billion over a 10-year period. $9 billion. You want your taxes to go up? No, you don't, because let's face it, everybody out there that's Republican doesn't want their taxes to go up already. But we're going to go out and build homes and store all these poor children, have them then lead a life of not being loved. And I'll be honest, there are enough kids and enough adults in this world that are screwed up simply because they didn't have a loving family. Do you really want to add 7 million more? We have to be sensible, people. I understand you want to take a moral stand, but your moral stand has actual consequences. And so I'm going to ask you to think about these things and really comprehend what you're really asking for. It's nice to be able to say, I'm against abortion, and then not face the consequences. So I'm going to leave you with that. So I want everybody to just kind of think about what kind of a world if we got rid of, and I do want to add one more thing. There is a lot of talk out there and statistics to prove it out that abortion has also led to a lot less crime. Because if you have poorer people, which are not having children, then they're not basically creating baby criminals, right? So just another thought I want you to think about. So ultimately, it comes down to abortion is a necessity. It is. There's no way around it. And I'm just going to ask you to consider that the next time you get all uptight about some woman going into a Planned Parenthood or to her doctor or to any hospital and getting an abortion. It's her personal choice. It's not easy. They don't take it lightly. I want you to just think about that and then think about the consequences if we got rid of abortion. That's it for the Pulse for this week. I will see you back next week with a regular edition of the Pulse. I'm Boyd Clark. See you next time.